Good morning, everyone. Tony Melo, Melo Properties team. Hope you're doing well. Cell phone 508-369-9755, 508-369-9755. Wanted to let everyone know that we are in the process of buying a two-family in Taunton, and we're going to attempt to try a new program, a new thing. We're going to try to rent the property out to renters, but it's going to be a slightly different relationship where it's not going to be one where we rent it to someone and hope that they stay there forever. It's going to be the actual opposite of that. We're going to try to rent to someone, help them while they are renting to become ready to buy a home, and then turn them around as fast as possible. So we're trying to stick to a 1 year, 2 year maximum turnaround as far as being a renter to being a buyer. I'm going to read some of this stuff. I did not post any pictures because the house is not ready to um, take pictures and show to people. We're going to do some painting and other things to the property. So for now, just a floor plan layout. I know when I post this, people are going to be like, "Where's the pictures? Where are the pictures?" There are no pictures. We're not going to be putting pictures. We can do a showing of the property before we start painting or during that process while we paint. I have no problem opening the door and letting people in and out, and we can discuss the situation further. But all right, so the basic plan is how do we get people from, and there's a large amount of people that don't want to rent. They want to buy a home, which is great. That's what we do as real estate brokers to put people in the position that they want to be in terms of real estate. If you want to rent, rent. That's fine. If you don't want to rent, but have to rent and want to buy, that's what this is for us to be able to help you as a current renter because you have no choice. The situation, the credit, the money down, that kind of stuff. Um, be in that situation, but work in a way that you will eventually get to buy a home. So there are some folks that are within a year, within 2 years, it can be done. There are other folks that are 4, 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years. Some maybe never. It just depends on discipline. It depends on your discipline and your ability to save money, put money together, work on credit, all that stuff. So we have in the past obviously helped people that weren't quite there. We love doing that kind of stuff and get them to the point where they are there. We're working with people right now that are in that transition point. So, not specifically with this, but because this is brand new, it hasn't even started. We haven't even purchased the property yet. Um, but outside of this program, we've helped people before in other ways. All right, so two phases. First phase is going to be the rental phase. Again, not because you want, but because you need to. I'm going to try to make this so that one, we don't lose our shirts. We can't have that. And two, it's set up in a way that will help you while we are not losing our shirts get to that point where you can buy. All right, so this is the first phase of all of this. I just wrote it up this morning, depending on the questions that come in. Hopefully, not complaints. Questions and complaints that come in. I will modify this based on those questions, those complaints, and go from there. All right. So, first phase rental, month to month rental agreement. We do that so that it will remain easy to change and easy, flexible as we move from phase one to phase two. First month in this case, 2,400, 3 bedroom, security 2,400, which will go into an escrow account just like it should and as everyone would expect. 30-day returnable after damages, if no damages after move out. Can we move faster than that? Maybe. Depends on the bank, it depends on the situation. We'll see when we get to that point. But we reserve that 30 days. You've moved out from that point, 30 days after that, we will return that $2,400 as long as there's no damage. Again, nothing special, nothing new. That's just how rentals work, and they've worked that way since before I've been doing this stuff. Total to move in, obviously you add those two numbers of 2,400 times 2 is 4,800. Again, that is specific to this case only, this apartment only. Residents will be required to pay for the last month when it happens. All right, so it's first and security. People typically hear first, last security. First and security, first and last. We are doing first and security, where the security goes back to you as long as everything is good. And the last month will happen when it happens. Hopefully no more than 1 to 2 years from the time that you start renting the place. Credit score will be based on owner and lender opinion, so we are going to get a lender involved right from the start, and anybody else that we need to get involved right from the start. So again, very serious about, not really, it is a rental, you are renting, but very serious about, okay, you gotta rent, you don't want to rent, we don't want you to rent, we want you to buy, we want you to buy with us. So who do we need to get involved right from the start, so that we start the rental relationship full well knowing that we're heading towards a buying relationship. The faster, the better. If I can turn people around in 5 months, 6 months, half a year, 6 months, great, that's perfect. We'll have a waiting list and turn people, other renters, into that same spot, and just continue pumping people out from rental to buyer. We'll see how it works. That is the idea. Hopefully it goes smoothly. We will see. I don't want to read that over again. This opinion will be based on credit score report and renter's ability to have sufficient money saved for closing costs and down deposit. Okay, so the 3 things that you need to buy a home, and you'll have a lot of these people when you see it on Facebook and other places all the time, where somebody will post an apartment and they'll post the price and they'll go, oh my god, I could buy a house for that price. Then you go after and you talk to them and say, well, okay, I mean, if you want to buy a house, let's buy a house. You can pay that amount, right? Because you're paying it in rent. How's your credit score? Oh, not that good. Do you have anything for closing costs? I don't have closing costs. Do you have anything for down deposit? No, I don't have down money saved. I don't have any money saved. So you are not ready to buy a home. That is the problem with everybody that goes, I could buy a house with that. That's my mortgage, or my grandmother's mortgage was, $300 and for a house that was twice the size. So apples to apples, what's the situation? This is all important stuff. I can guarantee when you go to a lender and the lender asks about closing costs and down deposits, if you don't have that, they're going to say, we can't lend to you. All right, so it's time for us to all become realistic about these scenarios, understand the roadblocks, the requirements, and then formulate a plan on, all right, here's where you are, here's where you need to be, how do we go from here to here? That is what a lot of those people on Facebook typically don't understand. They either don't understand it or don't want to understand it, or understand it but don't want to admit it. Whatever. We're not dealing with the people that are in denial. We're looking for people that are serious, that understand they are here, they understand that they want to be here. We know that you want to go from one to the other. We understand because we've done a lot of both sides of phase 1, phase 2, to help people rent and purchase. We're now marrying those 2 things and trying to put together a program where you can transition from one to the other. So that is the short of that long-winded thing. All right, so that's the rental phase. I think I read through that well enough. I'll be posting this on pages on Facebook, and then asking people if they want more information to private message, direct message, and we'll send you to our Facebook page with this video describing the same basic thing. All right, phase 2, the purchasing part of it, and that purchasing part can more or less start as soon as you start the rental. Do I want to spend a lot of time with you showing properties that you have no chance of buying? I don't, to be completely honest. So We can get you set up on MLS. You can start looking at emails, property matches on properties that you think at that point in time is what you're looking for in areas that you think you're want to purchase based on a purchase price that you think you can afford. So at the beginning stages, it probably makes more sense to just do that. Set you guys up on MLS. Here's a bunch of properties in the Bristol Plymouth County area in this price range. Just start looking at it casually. It's light work on me. It's no work on me. I set it up once on MLS, and you're in, and we're going to eventually end up really using that MLS profile as you go from phase 1 to phase 2. So that really is the way I envision the initial process going. Get you rented, get you in the apartment, set up MLS, get you looking at some properties. At least that way, by the time you're really looking at these properties, you've been using it for a year, you've been using it for 2 years, you know how to use the MLS, how to request showings and do all that stuff. So we won't be doing showings for you immediately because you're just not at that stage. If you were, then we would just go straight there. Once we get you close to there, then that's a different story. That's now we're in you're a client, you're a buyer client, and you're requesting showings. We're doing showings. We're going to open houses with you. You have a pre-approval at that point. You have money saved. It's a different scenario down the road. The above rental structure would be based and conditioned on the renter of the apartment signing a buyer agency agreement with us, Melo Properties Team, Trident Realty Group. Melo Properties Team is the team, Trident Realty Group is the brokerage, and considered as a wholly separate dealing. So the rental side will be phase 1, that's one thing. The purchase side is phase 2, and two entirely separate things from each other. But for the entire thing to work, you would have to hire us as your buyer agent, which makes sense. I mean, if we are your property owners and you are renting an apartment with us, why go with a buyer agent that is not already working with you, that already knows you? It makes sense to keep these things together. We know your rental situation. We have some control of your rental situation. So it makes sense to keep these things separate, but at the same time together. Hire us, and we will do the work that we need to do to get you from here to here right from the start. All right, so you got your first and security up top in phase 1, right? Again, most folks, these days it's first, last, and security 3 times. In this case, it's going to be 2 times that rental phase. The purchase phase, a non-refundable retainer of $2,400. In this case, that is the rent. So you are still coming up with 3 times, all right? The first, the last, and a retainer on a separate thing. There's differences here. Yes, you are coming up with the money, but there are differences. And as I read, you're going to understand the differences between a straight rental, first, last, security, and what we're proposing here. The non-refundable retainer of $2,400, of which half of that money amount, $1,200, will be gifted to the renter turned buyer, here on called client, so I don't have to keep on saying renter turned buyer, as a closing gift after or at closing with the Melo Properties team representing the client. Okay, so depending on the lender, some of these people there's restrictions on them receiving money. Some are okay, some are not. It depends on if it's FHA, conventional, whatever. There's if the lender is having issues with me giving you that $1,200, it'll be contracted, it'll be in the agency agreement, it'll be written down. We will either give you that $1,200 after the closing or at the closing. And honestly, the after the closing can be immediately after you sign it, so it's still kind of at the closing. Once it records, here you go. You know what I mean? Or while it's recording, here you go. $1,200, half of that non-refundable retainer. we'll make that happen. It'll be in paper again. The other half will be credited to what the client owes for agent commission on the purchase of the new property. I'm going to have to go into an explanation on that, and I might as well just do it right now. All right, so after or before the last couple of years, last year, last 2 years, last 3 years, there was a lot of National Association of Realtors getting sued, changes to MLS. Used to be that when we represented a buyer, our services to the buyer cost them nothing because our commission was coming from the seller through the listing agent. The last couple of years, that has kind of changed. They have kind of split it up to where, yes, in some cases, if they agree to that, the listing agent and the seller, to keep the same model, they can do that. It can be that the seller and listing agent is only providing a portion of that money. That's when now we have to go after the buyer for the rest of the commission. Or the listing agent and seller has elected to give nothing to the buyer agent, at which time the buyer would be responsible for the entire amount. So I don't want to make this can be kind of a large explanation of the way it used to be, the way it is now. Here are the different scenarios and what I have to do as a buyer agent to protect myself and explain to buyers. We can do it in person. I can do another video showing different examples of different scenarios of active current listings and what happens and why and all of that. But the short of that is that as a buyer agent representing you as the buyer in this phase two, there may be different situation scenarios. I can even tell you, all right, here's scenario A, B, and C. You know what I mean? When you say, show me this property, or can you look into this property, I can go, this is situation C, where you are going to have to come out of pocket 100% to buy that property. Some folks in the past have said, you know what, I'm not doing that. I just chase all the scenario A's where the listing agent and the buyer have agreed to pay the buyer commission. All the other ones, I'm not interested in it. We're going to make it simple. Chase those and those only. And I'm happy to do that, to be honest with you. Does it reduce the amount of properties that you get to look at? It does. So I'm okay with whatever it is that you're okay with. I can explain the scenario situation, and if you choose to just do this or to choose to look at all three and you'll take it case by case, perfectly fine. All right. So that's that, and we'll do another video, and we'll do it in person, explain that whole mess of the last year, 2 years, 3 years. The other half will be credited to what the client owes for agent commission, assuming there is any, on the purchase of the new property. If the client owes nothing, example A, then the entire amount will be returned. All right, so that is the difference where, first, last, and something else, the third portion you're coming up with. In a rental scenario, that third portion wouldn't be coming back to you. The client can certainly choose to use the non-refundable retainer to pay for the last month's rent in phase one. So if in phase one you don't want to pay that last month's rent, it's already sitting there, and you can use it in that way if you want to use it that way. So you have 100% control of where that money goes. Can be used there, can be returned back to you. But just remember, if you intend to use that $2,400 as the last month's rent for the rental, then we go back to that whole scenario of how is the listing, the house that you're looking to buy, how is it set up for commission? Is it that situation A, situation B, situation C? That will be important. So you may have to come out of pocket if, for example, the listing agent and seller say, no, we're not paying for the buyer agent commission whatsoever. That needs to come from somewhere. Unfortunately, the way it has gone the last couple of years, They have put that on you. They're doing it because they can. The It's a seller's market, and there's the whole real estate thing. Less homes, more buyers. They have the power to do that. So at some point it'll reverse and this whole thing will change. But until then, that is the way it works. Again, if I'm confusing you in any way in this video, don't worry about it. Just get in touch with me, and I will go over it and set up more examples and discuss it to the point where you understand what is going on, how it's going on, why it's going on. All right, so if you elect and you want to use it for up there, yes, you can use it up there. Just keep in mind again what I just said. These details will be further described on the agency agreement. So don't think that any of this stuff is verbal. I don't do anything verbal, whether it be rental agreement. It'll be 100% documented, discussed, explained to the point where there is no confusion whatsoever. You, anybody else will understand what's required, what we're doing, how we're doing it, in as much as I can. All the possible scenarios that could possibly happen to cover everything in phase 1 and in phase 2. So document up there, documenting everything, document down here, documenting everything. The idea is to be able to buy this home, get it rented, pay the expenses, and then help people at the same time go from renting a home to buying a home. That is, again, what we are supposed to be doing as real estate brokers, real estate investors, or at least the broker side of things. Get you out of a scenario that you don't want to be in, into a scenario that you want to be in. Will it require effort? It's going to require effort. There's no question about it. Is it going to require discipline? Yes, it's going to require discipline. What do I mean by discipline? You need to put money together if you don't have money already. You need to work on your credit, which may mean that you may have to go without certain things. I'm not going to parent you on any of this. I can explain what it is that you need to do, but then you will have to be able to make it happen, get it done. There may be and probably will be sacrifices, things that you will have to go without, even if it's just temporarily while we go through this process, so that you can repair your credit, do what you got to do to repair your credit. That is the sacrifice part, and put the money together. Will we help you with a first-time home buyer program? Absolutely. I'd love to call Pro Home, for example, and get you through a course. And because you go through that course, they give you money for the closing costs and the down deposits. If we can find you grant money that people are companies, nonprofits are giving to you, perfectly fine. That's a great way to do it. If we can get you to that point, if it's there's complications and things that we have to find out, think about, figure out what the restrictions are, make sure it's a fit for you, and that first of all the money is there. If the money's not there, the money's not there. It means nothing. So putting the money together on your own, putting the money together through a program, first time home buyer programs, perfectly fine. Absolutely happy to help you. Check that stuff out, take the courses, do whatever it is that you need to do to get your hands on that money for the closing costs and down deposit, and then go from there. So hope you're doing well. Long-winded video, and that's okay. So this is an example of one of the apartments. We have a second floor, which is going to be less money. Same square footage, but it's a 2-bedroom, so the bedrooms are bigger on the second floor. So same idea, different numbers. Going to be doing both at the same time. Have not purchased the property yet. Looks as if we are, after a long process, really starting to get there. So we're ramping up the investigation of what should we charge, how does this program work, going and getting the place fixed up so that it is at the level that we are okay with. It's a perfectly fine apartment right now. It could use some sprucing up, which we're going to take care of over the next month while we are waiting to get to the closing and purchase this property. We are interested in lining up people before then. even if it's not officially lining them up, but at least introducing, finding the people, getting that process moving forward so that when we do close shortly after that, whichever way that happens as far as the date that it closes, we have people already to go day one that understand what we're doing, agree with what we're doing, want to move forward with what we're doing, introduce them to lenders, introduce them to people that will help first-time homebuyer programs, get that whole thing moving forward right from the start, at or even before you start renting, we can start that process. So that's the idea. We'll see how this goes. There'll be some folks that, one, don't want to buy. Obviously, that won't work. We recommend, looking elsewhere because we are going to insist on this. There will be people that complain, and that's fine. I'm not even going to respond back to those people. Just this is what we're doing. This is what we want to do. We're going to try this. There will be people that that need help, and again, that's the whole idea of this. Let's figure out where you are. Let's figure out where you need to be to get to phase two. Let's figure out how much time it's going to take to get you from phase one to phase two. For the folks that are 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years away from being able to do it, we cannot tie up the property um, with folks that need that level of work. We are still happy to work with you, but won't be able to rent to you to get you to this point. We can put you on that waiting list for this, help you in the meantime while we are doing this with somebody else. Once we get you to the point where you are within that 1 year, 2 years, boom, put you in the pipeline, if you want to call it that, and start moving you in that direction. So there'll be a lot of work for us to reach out to people and figure out the situations of different people, keep in touch with them, put them in this building to process. Basically, we're processing you to be from phase one to phase two, from being a renter to a buyer. People at different levels will require different amounts of work. We'll be able to do certain things at certain times. It would be great. I would absolutely love to have a waiting list of people that are in that range where when people are moving out and buying, we already have somebody to be put into that position. And then there's more than likely something that we have already been working with and already know you and already have you connected to a lender. And so if we can pump people in and out from there to there, that is what we're looking for. It's a win-win because we're now helping you do what you're looking to do. But at the same time, we have a property that is at least covering its own costs and pumping out buyer clients for us. So we're making money on the buyer client side of things. Real estate has become a little tough. So people like myself and the team have to get a little bit more creative, doing stuff like this, which I'm happy to do. I kind of love doing this kind of stuff anyway. So if I can help people go from there to there, you're happy, I'm happy, we're all working in the right direction, we're doing what we've got to do, lenders are happy. So that is the idea, that is the process. We're going to start advertising this, and we'll see how it goes. So thank you very much. Tony Melo, Melo Properties Team, 508-369-9755. Call or text. Let's see how this goes. See ya.